classroom was quiet except for the soft hum of floating lights above the students. Holographic screens glowed in the air, showing images of human anatomy, hearts beating and cells dividing. Captain Elias Ward, a human instructor from Earth, stood in front of a group of alien cadets. They came from different worlds, tall, silver-skinned beings with glowing eyes, feathered creatures with delicate wings, and others covered in soft scales that shimmered under the light. It was a normal day aboard the Zanara Academy, a place built to teach aliens about humanity, its history, technology, and culture. Elias spoke clearly, his voice calm and confident. Humans reproduce through biological union between male and female partners, he explained, pointing at the holographic model. It is not only a process of continuation, it is also an act of emotion, love, care, and connection. Most aliens took notes silently, their eyes focused on the floating screen. But one alien girl sitting near the front tilted her head in curiosity. She was younger than the others, smaller, with silver-blue skin that seemed to shimmer when she moved. Her eyes were large, glowing softly like moonlight. Her name was Lyra. Lyra had always been curious, too curious, some said. She asked questions others were afraid to ask. And now her small hand rose slowly in the air. "Captain Elias?" she said softly. Her voice was musical and innocent. Elias smiled. "Yes, Cadet Lyra." The room turned toward her as she looked down, nervous but determined. "Wait, humans reproduce like that?" she asked, blinking in confusion. "Can I try too?" The entire room froze. For a moment, no one breathed. Then the silence broke into shocked laughter. A few cadets gasped. Others whispered in disbelief. Elias stood frozen, his expression caught between surprise and disbelief. Lyra's face turned bluish-pink, a blush unique to her species. "Did I say something wrong?" she asked softly, looking around with wide, innocent eyes. No, Lyra," Elias stammered, trying to control the situation. "It's just, humans and Zanarians are very different. It's not something you can simply—" Before he could finish, a tall alien instructor from the back interrupted, his voice sharp and cold. "Cadet Lyra!" "That question is inappropriate." Lyra flinched. "I didn't mean... I just wanted to know how it feels," she said quickly. "Humans seem so happy when they talk about love and family. I only wanted to understand..." The laughter stopped. The air grew heavy. Her words weren't funny anymore. Elias looked at her closely, not as an alien student, but as someone searching for something deeper. Her eyes weren't mischievous. "They were lonely, I see," he said quietly. "You wish to understand emotion, not just biology." Lyra nodded. "Yes, sir. When you talk about it, your voice changes. It sounds warm. We don't have that in my world. Our unions are assigned by command. There is no choice, no feeling." Elias felt a strange ache in his chest. Her words touched something human in him, something he hadn't felt in years. Before he could reply, the alien instructor stepped forward. "Enough of this nonsense. The council will hear about this." His wings flared, casting a shadow over Lyra's desk. "Curiosity toward human emotion is forbidden. Do you understand, Cadet?" Lyra lowered her head. "Yes, instructor." But Elias saw the quiet tear that rolled down her cheek. When class ended, the other cadets whispered as they left. Some looked amused, others disgusted. Lyra stayed seated, staring at her hands. Elias waited until the room was empty. He walked toward her desk. "You don't need to feel ashamed," he said softly. "Curiosity is never wrong." Lyra looked up, her silver eyes shimmering. "Then why does everyone act like it is?" He sighed. "Because they fear what they don't understand. Humans once feared the same thing, emotions, difference, love. But that's what makes us human. It's what makes life worth living." She listened carefully, her fingers trembling. "Can you teach me?" she whispered. "Not about biology, but about what it means to feel." Elias hesitated. It was forbidden to teach aliens about human emotions beyond the textbook, but something about her, the innocence, the courage, made him nod slowly. "I'll teach you," he said quietly, "but you must promise to keep it secret." Lyra smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen from any alien student. "I promise, Captain." As she left the classroom, Elias looked out the window. The blue curve of Earth glowed in the distance. He didn't know it yet, but that one innocent question, "Can I try too?" would soon shake two civilizations. Far above the academy, deep in the shadow of the station's control tower, unseen eyes were already watching. A recording device blinked silently, capturing every word, every look, every forbidden moment. Somewhere in the council chambers, a voice spoke coldly into the darkness. The contamination has begun. And with that, Lyra's simple question became the spark that would change the future of humans and aliens forever. The grand hall of the Zanara High Council was silent. Giant glass panels showed the blue planet Earth spinning far below. A soft hum of alien energy filled the air, steady, cold, and intimidating. Lyra stood at the center of the hall, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. She looked small beneath the towering figures of the council, tall, elegant beings with glowing marks across their heads. Their voices, deep and echoing, made the air feel heavy. The head counselor, Vorel, spoke first. His voice carried like thunder through the chamber. "Cadet Lyra of House Seren," he began, "you stand accused of emotional contamination. You questioned the purity of our laws and showed improper curiosity toward a human." Lyra swallowed hard. Her heart thudded in her chest, though she didn't fully understand why. "I only asked a question," she said softly. "I wanted to know what makes humans feel. They seem happy when they speak about love." Vorel's eyes glowed brighter. "Happiness is weakness. Emotion clouds judgment. We have evolved beyond such primitive instincts." "But," Lyra hesitated, looking up, "if emotions are weakness, then why do humans look so strong when they protect each other?" The chamber murmured, quiet voices of shock. No one had ever dared to argue with the council. "Enough," Vorel snapped. "You will be confined to your quarters for 7 cycles. You are forbidden from attending the human lectures. You will reflect on your actions and purge these human ideas from your mind." Lyra's voice trembled. "Yes, counselor." 2 guards stepped forward, but before they could escort her away, another voice rose from the side of the chamber. It was Counselor Malin, one of the few who studied human culture closely. Her tone was softer, curious. "Perhaps," Malin said, "we should not punish curiosity. The humans are unpredictable. Yes, but there is power in their passion. Maybe it is worth studying, not silencing." Vorel turned toward her sharply. "You suggest we encourage contamination?" "I suggest," Malin said carefully, "that we understand it before it understands us." The hall fell silent again. After a tense moment, Vorel waved his hand. "Enough debate. The decision stands. The human instructor will also be investigated. Emotion spreads like a disease, and we will not allow it to reach Zanara." Back in her room, Lyra sat by the tall window that looked out into the stars. The view of Earth shimmered in the distance like a blue jewel glowing against the black sky. She pressed her hand against the glass. "They don't understand," she whispered. "I just wanted to feel what they feel." Her room was quiet, too quiet. Only the soft pulse of the energy barrier outside her window broke the silence. A small data crystal blinked near her bed. She picked it up and tapped it. A tiny hologram flickered to life. The human instructor, Captain Elias Ward, appeared in front of her. "Lyra," his recorded voice said gently, "I heard what happened. I'm sorry. They told me not to contact you anymore. But I want you to know, your question wasn't wrong. Sometimes the hardest questions are the ones that lead to truth." Lyra's lips trembled into a small smile. "You still believe that?" she whispered to the recording. The hologram continued. "If you truly want to understand humanity, don't stop asking. Curiosity isn't a sin. It's the beginning of connection." The message ended, but her heart felt lighter. She held the crystal close to her chest as if it carried warmth. That night she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Earth, oceans, forests, cities glowing with life. Humans laughing, crying, hugging each other. They were messy, emotional, and unpredictable. But they were alive in a way her people weren't. Finally, she whispered into the darkness, "I want to see them for myself." Meanwhile, deep in another part of the station, Captain Elias faced his own trial. A council representative stood across from him in the metallic interrogation room. "Captain Ward," the alien official said coldly, "you were instructed to limit emotional examples in your lectures. Instead, you filled your students' minds with human sentimental nonsense. Do you deny this?" Elias leaned back in his chair. "I teach truth," he said simply. "And truth isn't nonsense." "Your truth is dangerous," the alien snapped. "You humans spread feelings like infection. You don't understand control. Elias met his gaze steadily. Control without feeling isn't strength, he said quietly. It's emptiness. The alien official's eyes narrowed. You are forbidden from further contact with Cadet Lyra. If you disobey, you will be removed from Zenara immediately. Elias didn't respond, but deep inside he already knew he would break that rule. Later that cycle, when the lights dimmed and the academy fell silent, a secret channel blinked open on Lyra's console. A message appeared. Encrypted human signal detected. Her heart raced. She tapped it. Elias's voice came through, calm but urgent. Lyra, if you can hear me, don't give up. There's more to humanity than what they teach in those rooms. If you still wish to learn, I'll find a way. Lyra's fingers trembled as she whispered, I want to learn everything. The connection faded, leaving only static, but a spark had been lit. Outside her window, Earth glowed brighter than ever, as if calling her name. And far above, deep in the council's hidden chambers, red warning lights flickered. A shadowy figure turned to the others and said, The contamination is spreading faster than we thought. We must act before the human disease reaches our world. But for Lyra, that disease was something else entirely. It was hope. Days passed, but Lyra couldn't stop thinking about the voice in her console. Elias's message, short, brave, and full of warmth, echoed in her mind again and again. If you still wish to learn, I'll find a way. Those words became her secret fire. When she walked through the academy halls, surrounded by silent, cold-eyed students, she kept that flame hidden deep inside. She smiled when others didn't. She looked at the stars longer than anyone else. Something in her had awakened. Something she couldn't explain. That night her room lights flickered twice. A code she had seen before. She rushed to her console and entered a pattern on the glowing keys. A small holographic screen appeared showing Elias's face. He looked tired but kind. Lyra, he said in a low voice. This channel isn't safe, but it's the only way we can talk. I promised I'd keep teaching you, and not about rules, but about what it means to be human. Lyra's silver blue eyes widened. You're risking punishment, she said. Why? Elias smiled faintly. Because knowledge is meant to be shared, especially the kind that changes hearts. He held up an ancient-looking device, a small sphere that played soft, warm sounds. This is music, he said. Something we humans use to express feelings words can't. He pressed a button. The faint notes of a human lullaby filled her room, slow, gentle, full of emotion. The melody wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Lyra's eyes shimmered. It's beautiful. What does it mean? Elias's voice softened. It's a song a mother sings to her child. It tells them that even in the dark, they're loved and never alone. Lyra pressed her hands over her chest. I feel something. It's like warmth. It's spreading inside. That's emotion, Elias said. It's not something you learn from books. You feel it. She nodded slowly, tears forming in her glowing eyes. I want to feel more. Over the next weeks, their secret lessons continued. Every night, Lyra waited for the flicker of her console, her signal to connect. Elias showed her human art, stories, laughter, kindness. He told her about friendship, love, and the strange human habit of risking everything for others. He showed her a picture of two humans holding hands beneath the rain. Why are they doing that? She asked. Because they care, Elias said. Even when the world feels cold, humans share warmth through touch. That's love, not just between man and woman, but between souls. Lyra whispered the word like it was sacred. Love. One night she asked softly, Elias, do you think I can love too? He looked at her image on the screen, her shimmering eyes, her curious smile. And for the first time, his heart hesitated before answering. Yes, he said finally. I think you already do. But the deeper they went, the more dangerous it became. The Zenara surveillance systems were always watching. Every data wave, every message, every hidden connection left a trace. In a dark monitoring chamber, a group of officers reviewed her activity logs. A red light blinked. Unauthorized signal detected, one said. Human transmission frequency. Find the source, the commander ordered coldly. Meanwhile, Elias decided to take a greater risk. He uploaded a hollow memory, a simulation from his childhood on Earth. When Lyra activated it, she found herself standing in a field of tall, golden grass, the wind brushing against her face. The simulated sunlight felt warm. Birds sang in the distance. She gasped. "Is this Earth?" Elias's voice echoed softly through the scene. "Yes, this was my home. We didn't have much, but we had each other." Lyra walked through the field, her fingers brushing the grass. She felt the warmth, the life, the emotion of it all. Suddenly, the hologram shifted, showing a small boy hugging his mother tightly. Lyra froze.
"That's you."
"Yes," Elias said. "She was teaching me to be brave. She told me that love makes even the smallest heart strong enough to face the stars." Lyra felt tears running down her cheeks. I understand now. Love isn't weakness. It's what makes everything alive." Her heart pulsed faster. Her breathing changed rhythm. Alien biology wasn't meant to react like that, yet it did. She clutched her chest. "My heart feels strange." Elias smiled gently. "That's humanity touching your soul." But just as the words left his mouth, the hologram flickered and then cut out. Static filled her screen. Lyra frowned. "Elias?" No answer. Only the hum of her console. Across the academy, alarms blared. The control lights turned red. "Unauthorized human contact detected," a mechanical voice announced. "Source located, Cadet Lyra's quarters." Panic shot through her. She tried to delete the files, but the system locked. Within seconds, heavy footsteps echoed outside her door. The locks clicked. The door burst open. Guards stormed in, their armor glowing. "Cadet Lyra, you are under arrest for violation of Council Order 47, one said. "You will be detained for questioning." She stepped back, trembling. "Please, I was only learning." "Learning about humans is forbidden," the guards snapped. They grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the console. As they dragged her down the corridor, she looked back one last time at the fading blue light of her screen. Somewhere through the broken signal, Elias's distorted voice came through one last time. "Lyra, don't lose your heart. No matter what they do, don't stop feeling." Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered back, "I won't." And as the door slammed behind her, the stars outside seemed to shimmer, as if even the universe itself had started to listen. Lyra woke up in darkness. The room was cold and silent, filled with the hum of machines. Her wrists were bound by soft glowing cuffs and a faint mist swirled in the air. She tried to move, but her body felt weak. As her eyes adjusted, she saw tall figures standing behind a glass wall. The High Council. Voral's sharp voice echoed through the chamber. "Cadet Lyra of House Seren, you have broken the sacred law of contact. You learned forbidden emotions from a human. You risked infection of the mind." Lyra's throat was dry, but she spoke anyway. "I only wanted to understand, to feel what humans feel." Voral's expression didn't change. "And now you will help us understand you," she frowned. "What do you mean?" A scientist stepped forward, her white eyes gleaming. "You will be part of an experiment," she said calmly. "We will place you among humans. You will live as one of them. You will experience their emotions, and then you will return to us with the results." Lyra froze. "You want me to live on Earth?" "Yes," Vorel said, his voice cold. "But do not misunderstand. You will not go there as a visitor. You go as a subject. Every heartbeat, every emotion will be recorded. You are no longer a cadet. You are an experiment." Lyra's chest tightened. She looked down, her voice trembling. "And if I refuse?" Vorel leaned closer to the glass. "Then your memories will be erased. Your curiosity will die. Choose." She closed her eyes. Images of Elias flashed in her mind. His smile, his voice, his words. "Don't lose your heart." When she opened her eyes again, they glowed brighter than before. "I'll go." A week later, deep beneath the Zanara Academy, a shuttle prepared for launch. Its silver surface shimmered with alien energy. Inside the medical bay, scientists worked quickly, adjusting devices around Lyra's body. They implanted a translator, modified her skin tone to match human appearance, and gave her artificial breathing balance for Earth's atmosphere. When she looked in the mirror, she gasped. She looked human. Her glowing silver eyes had softened into a soft blue. Her skin had a faint warmth to it. Her silver hair, now streaked with gold, reflected the lab's light. "It's not real," she whispered to herself. "It's just a disguise." A voice behind her replied quietly, "Maybe, but sometimes pretending becomes truth." Lyra turned and froze. Elias stood at the doorway. He wasn't supposed to be there. Yet here he was, wearing a pilot's uniform, his face calm but eyes full of emotion. "Elias," she whispered. "They said I'd never see you again." He stepped closer, his voice low. "They reassigned me. The council thinks I'll observe you objectively." He gave a small smile. "They don't know how wrong they are." Lyra blinked back tears. "So, and you'll be there?" "I'll be watching over you," he said. "But you must act like we're strangers. The moment they suspect you've kept feelings, they'll terminate the experiment." She nodded slowly. "I understand." He placed something small in her palm, a tiny metal charm shaped like a heart. "It's an old human symbol," he said. "For courage. Keep it close." She looked at it for a long time, then held it against her chest. "I'll keep it safe." The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Flames streaked across the sky as it broke through clouds. Lyra pressed her hands against the glass, watching blue oceans and green forests appear below. Her eyes widened in wonder. "It's so alive," she whispered. The shuttle landed near a quiet valley covered in mist. As the doors opened, warm air and the scent of wet soil rushed in. Birds chirped. Wind brushed her face. She stepped out barefoot, feeling earth beneath her feet for the first time. Her heart raced. She could hear her own pulse. Every sound, every smell, felt real. Behind her, Elias spoke softly through a communicator. "You're safe for now. There's a small human town nearby. Blend in, learn, observe, and remember, don't get too close." Lyra smiled faintly. "You forget, Elias," she said, looking at the horizon. "That's exactly what curiosity does." Hours later, Lyra found herself walking down a narrow street filled with lights and voices. Humans moved all around her, laughing, talking, living. She watched a mother hug her child, a couple holding hands, old men sharing stories under a street lamp. Every moment was strange and beautiful. A little girl bumped into her and dropped her candy. Lyra bent down, picked it up, and smiled as she handed it back. "Thank you, miss," the girl said brightly, running back to her mother. Lyra's chest felt warm again. It was small, simple, but it mattered. Her hand drifted to the heart-shaped charm. She could almost hear Elias's voice in her mind. "That's humanity touching your soul." Far above Earth, inside the Zenara control ship, the council watched her every move through glowing holographic screens. "She's adapting quickly," one scientist said. "Too quickly," another replied. "Her readings show emotional resonance above safe levels." Varel watched silently. "Good, let her drown in it. We must see how far human infection spreads before we purge it forever." But far below, Lyra wasn't drowning. She was awakening. As she looked up at the stars that night, the same stars she once saw from the academy window, she whispered softly, "If feeling like this is a disease, then I hope it never leaves me." The stars seemed to shimmer brighter, as if they too were listening, waiting for the first spark of something new. Morning sunlight slipped through the small window of the human house where Lyra now lived. She blinked at the golden light touching her skin. It felt soft, warm, and alive. The walls smelled faintly of wood and coffee. Outside, birds sang. It was all new to her, yet strangely comforting. She looked at her reflection in a cracked mirror. The disguise the council had given her was perfect. She looked like a young human woman. But when she touched her chest, she could still feel the faint rhythm of her alien heart, beating faster each day. "Humans wake up to the sound of light," she whispered. "No alarms. No commands, just life." She had found work at a local cafe under a false identity. Leah. To humans, she was quiet but kind, a girl who smiled too often and stared at the sky too long. Nobody suspected what she really was. But Elias knew. From a secret outpost hidden in the nearby hills, he monitored her through a communicator disguised as an earpiece. His voice reached her softly each morning. "Morning, Lyra. How's Earth treating you today?" Lyra smiled faintly, pretending to wipe tables as she whispered back. "It's loud. Humans talk too much, but I like it," he chuckled. "That's how we survive through noise. Silence makes us lonely." She paused, thinking about that. Then maybe loneliness is what my people have been living in all this time. Days turned into weeks. Lyra began to study the small details of human life. She watched couples share coffee, friends tease each other, strangers exchange smiles. She learned that emotions weren't just words. They were in every touch, every laugh, every tear. One evening, while closing the cafe, she heard soft crying from outside. A little boy sat on the steps, his knees scraped, tears shining in his eyes. Lyra crouched down beside him. "Hey," she said gently. "Why are you crying?" The boy sniffed. "I fell. It hurts." Without thinking, Lyra touched his knee. "Pain means you're alive," she said softly. "And being alive means you can heal." She tore a piece of cloth from her sleeve and wrapped it gently around the wound. "There, better?" The boy nodded. "You sound like my mom." Lyra smiled faintly. "Maybe I just sound human." When he ran off, she felt her chest ache, but not from sadness. It was something else, something she couldn't name. That night, she told Elias about it. "He cried," she said softly, "and it made my heart hurt. But when he smiled, it stopped hurting. Why does that happen?" Elias's voice was warm through the static. "Because empathy is the bridge between hearts. You feel others' pain, but you also feel their joy." Lyra looked up at the stars. "Then empathy is what makes us all the same." Over time, Lyra's imitation of human behavior became more real. She laughed, she cried, she cared. Humans began to treat her as one of their own. But deep inside, something more dangerous was happening. Her body was changing. The energy inside her, once cold and measured, began to respond to emotion. Her biology was adapting. Her alien systems were syncing with human hormones and neural patterns. What began as imitation was turning into transformation. She didn't tell the council, of course. But the sensors hidden beneath her skin sent readings back to Zanara, data that alarmed them. "Her emotional resonance is exceeding predicted limits," a scientist said. "If it continues, she'll no longer be fully Zanarian." Varel's eyes narrowed. "Then we will remind her what she truly is." Meanwhile, Lyra's bond with Elias grew stronger. Though they met only through hidden transmissions, their connection deepened with every shared word. One night she sat alone under the stars, her communicator glowing softly in her ear. "Elias," she whispered, "today a man came to the cafe. He told a woman he loved her." She started crying, but she was smiling too. "I don't understand. Why do humans cry when they're happy?" Elias laughed softly. "Because sometimes the heart can't hold all the feelings inside. It spills out through tears." She tilted her head. "Humans are strange." "Yes," he said, but that's what makes us human." There was a pause. A soft silence filled with unspoken warmth. Then Lyra said, almost in a whisper, "Elias, when I hear your voice, my chest feels heavy. I want to see you." "Is that emotion too?" His breath caught on the other end. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, he said quietly, "Yes, Lyra, that's emotion too." But their secret didn't stay hidden for long. Late one night, while Lyra walked home, she noticed strange lights flickering in the sky. Not stars, but drones. Zanara surveillance units. They were scanning for her. Her communicator buzzed urgently. "Lyra, listen to me," Elias said sharply. "They found the transmission trace. You have to disappear." Her heart pounded. "But where do I go?" "There's an old safe house by the river. Go there now." She ran through the dark streets, her human disguise shimmering slightly under stress. Rain began to fall. Cold and relentless, when she reached the bridge, she stopped, panting, her heart racing. The city lights reflected in the water below. For the first time, she felt fear. True human fear. She whispered into her earpiece, "Elias, if they find me, what will happen?" He hesitated. "They'll take you back. They'll erase everything you've learned." Her voice broke. "Then I'll forget you?" "Yes." A single tear rolled down her cheek, mixing with the rain. "Then I'd rather die human than live empty." Static filled the line. Elias's voice cracked through it. "Don't say that. You're more human than most of us already." She closed her eyes, clutching the heart-shaped charm around her neck. "Then maybe that's my answer. I wasn't meant to imitate love, Elias. I was meant to feel it." Thunder rolled in the distance as drones descended through the clouds, searching the city, and for the first time in Zanara history, an alien heartbeat entirely for a human. Night blanketed the city in silver rain. Neon lights blurred in puddles as the drones swept overhead, silent, searching, relentless. Lyra ran through the narrow streets, breath shaking, shoes splashing through water. Her heart pounded like thunder inside her chest. The communicator in her ear crackled with static. Lyra, keep moving. Elias's voice came through, sharp and strained. They're closing in from the east. You have to reach the bridge. Lyra's lungs burned, but she didn't stop. Her human disguise was flickering. Small pulses of blue light glowed beneath her skin every time she breathed. The transformation between alien and human was breaking down. Her emotions were too strong now. The more she felt, the more unstable her system became. She ducked into a dark alley, pressing against the cold wall. Her body trembled as she looked up. Drones hovered above like glowing eyes in the rain. Elias, she whispered, they'll catch me. I can feel it. No, he said firmly, I'm coming to you. Just hold on. She shook her head, tears mixing with rain. You can't. If they find you, then they'll find us together. For a moment, the rain seemed to pause, the world holding its breath. Across the city, Elias drove a black transport unit through flooded streets. The vehicle shook as lightning flashed across the sky. His mind raced. He had broken every rule, every order. The council had already sent soldiers to arrest him. But none of that mattered now. He had made his choice, and not as a teacher, not as a soldier, but as a human being. He gripped the controls tightly. Hold on, Lyra, just hold on. Back in the alley, Lyra looked up as the drones descended lower. Their metallic wings unfolded, red lights scanning her. A robotic voice echoed through the rain. Subject Y09 detected. Emotional contamination level critical. Prepare for retrieval. No, she whispered, stepping back. I'm not your subject anymore. Her skin flickered, a light rippling beneath her veins. Her heartbeat grew louder, brighter, stronger. When the drone fired its capture net, she raised her hand instinctively, and something extraordinary happened. A burst of blue-white energy erupted from her palm, shattering the net midair. The drone exploded into sparks. Lyra fell to her knees, panting. She stared at her hands in shock. What did I just do? A moment later, a bright beam cut through the rain. Elias's transport skidded to a stop beside her. The door opened and he stepped out, soaked, breathless, eyes wide with relief. Lyra, he shouted. She looked up, tears in her eyes. You came. Of course I did, he said, running to her. He grabbed her hands. You're trembling. They said emotions would destroy me, she whispered. But I've never felt more alive. He smiled faintly. That's because you found your humanity. A loud metallic roar cut through the air. More drones appeared, forming a circle around them. Soldiers in silver armor landed nearby, weapons raised. Human Instructor Elias Ward, the lead soldier announced. You are under arrest for treason against the Zanara Council. Release the subject. Elias stood firm, pulling Lyra behind him. You'll have to go through me first, Lyra's voice trembled. They'll kill you? He looked back at her with calm eyes. Then I'll die for something worth feeling. Energy bolts streaked through the rain. Elias pulled Lyra behind cover as explosions lit the street. The noise was deafening. Buildings shook. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter with every flash of light. Elias, she said softly, I can stop them. He turned sharply. No. If you use that energy again. It's not just energy anymore, she said, voice calm, almost peaceful. It's emotion. I can feel it. It's connected to you, he stared at her. Lyra, if you lose control, as she touched his cheek gently. Then hold me. Help me remember who I am. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Rain fell between them like glass. Her hand glowed faintly where it touched his skin. And for the first time, he saw her true form. Light, fragile, and beautiful beyond words. Then she turned toward the soldiers. Blue light spread from her body like a wave. The ground trembled. The drones' systems flickered, weapons froze, and the soldiers staggered backward. Lyra raised her arms as tears streamed down her glowing face. I'm not your experiment, she said, her voice echoing like thunder. I'm the proof that humans and Zanarians are not so different. Energy burst outward, not as destruction but as emotion. The wave of light expanded through the streets, reaching everything it touched. Humans who had been hiding stepped out in awe. The air filled with warmth and silence. Elias shielded his eyes from the light. Lyra, stop and you'll burn yourself out. She looked back at him, smiling through the light. Maybe that's what love means, Elias. Giving everything until nothing's left. Her body shimmered, turning almost transparent. The light pulsed from her heart, pure, radiant, unstoppable. Elias ran forward and caught her as she collapsed into his arms. Lyra, stay with me. She reached up, her fingers brushing his face. "Do you feel it now?" she whispered. "The bridge between us." He nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I feel it. Then remember me," she said softly. "No matter what they erase, no matter what they call me. Remember that once an alien loved a human, and with that her light exploded into the sky, a silent, brilliant wave that spread across the horizon. The drones fell. The soldiers dropped their weapons, and above the clouds the Zanara flagship went dark, their systems overloaded by something no machine could measure. Emotion. When the light faded, only rain remained. Elias knelt alone, holding the glowing heart-shaped charm she had once worn. It pulsed faintly in his palm, still warm. He looked up at the sky, whispering, "You didn't break, Lyra, you changed everything." The clouds parted, and for a brief, impossible moment the stars seemed to flicker in rhythm, as if the universe itself was remembering her heartbeat. The world was silent after the light. Rain no longer fell. It shimmered mid-air like diamonds, frozen by the strange calm that followed Lyra's final breath. Captain Elias Ward stood alone in the ruins of the city street, still holding the heart-shaped charm she had left behind. Its faint glow pulsed softly, one heartbeat every few seconds, as if it remembered her. Around him, drones lay scattered and broken. The soldiers from Zanara's fleet had fallen unconscious, their metallic armor cooling in the rain. The skies above Earth, once heavy with warships, were now empty. Lyra's light had touched everything. Machines had stopped, but hearts had begun to move. 2 weeks later, the world began to change. Elias walked through the valley where Lyra first arrived. The grass glowed faintly at night now, humming softly, a strange side effect of her energy. Scientists called it biofusion, the merging of alien and human molecular fields. But to Elias, it was something far simpler. "It's her," he whispered to himself. "Her heart is still here." Human and Zanarian governments tried to understand what had happened. The Council on Zanara was silent for days. Then, for the first time in centuries, they opened communication with Earth. Not to threaten, but to listen. Ambassadors arrived. Treaties were discussed. Words like peace, union, and shared future replaced war, contamination, and control. And yet, through every meeting, every negotiation, Elias said nothing. He only watched the stars and listened for a voice that would never come. One night he returned to his quarters, a small observatory overlooking the blue earth below. The charm lay on his desk beside a flickering holoscreen. He touched the charm, whispering, "I kept my promise, Lyra. I remembered." As if in answer, the charm blinked twice. He frowned, leaning closer. The light inside it shifted, not random this time, but rhythmic. It was trying to speak. He activated his console, connected the charm to the scanner, and a faint voice broke through the static. "Elias?" His breath caught. "Lyra?" The signal was weak, full of distortion, but the voice was unmistakable. Soft, trembling, alive. "I don't know where I am," she whispered. "It's dark, but I can feel everything. I can feel you." Elias's eyes filled with tears. "Lyra, listen, you're alive. Somehow your energy survived the collapse. I'll find you." "No," she said gently. "Not alive. Not like before. But a part of me remains inside the fusion field. The energy between our worlds." He gripped the edge of the console. "Then we'll bring you back. We have the technology." "You can't bring back what's become part of everything," she said, her voice calm, almost smiling. "I'm not gone, Elias. I'm everywhere. In the wind, in the rain, in every heartbeat that learns to love." He pressed his forehead against the console, tears streaming silently. "I can't lose you again." "You didn't," she whispered. "You helped me find what it means to exist. I used to be a student who wanted to understand humanity. Now, I am the bridge between us." The charm pulsed brightly, one final flash, and then the signal faded. The screen went dark. Months passed. Humans and Zanarians began to live and work side by side. The academy where Lyra once studied reopened, not as a place of control but as a center for unity studies. Elias was asked to lead it. He agreed on one condition, that we teach not just science or history, he said, but what Lyra taught me, the courage to feel. In the halls of the new academy, Young humans and Xenarians sat together laughing, sharing stories. No walls separated them now. The air hummed with quiet peace, the first real peace in centuries, and sometimes, late at night when the lights dimmed and the stars shone through the windows, the students swore they heard a soft humming in the walls, a melody gentle and familiar. Years later, a new generation was born, children with blue-tinted eyes and warm human skin, hybrids of both worlds. Scientists called them harmonics. They carried within them the genetic traces of both species, proof that Lyra's final energy had rewritten the laws of life. They were living symbols of what she had become. The new Genesis, Elias, older now, sat under a tree on a quiet Earth evening, watching a small girl chase butterflies through glowing grass. The child had eyes like Lyra's, silver blue, shining softly when she laughed. She ran to him and held out a flower. "Teacher Elias, look, it glows." He smiled, his old heart warming. "Yes, it does. Just like someone I once knew." The girl tilted her head.
Someone you loved?
He looked at the horizon where the sun was setting, the sky painted with golden and violet light. "More than love," he said softly. "She was the reason love exists at all." The child giggled, placing the glowing flower in his hand. "Then she's happy. You can see her everywhere now." He looked at the flower, its gentle light pulsing like a tiny heartbeat, and smiled. "Yes, I suppose I can." As night fell, stars shimmered above the valley, brighter, clearer than ever before. One star, larger than the rest, pulsed faintly with a familiar blue glow. Elias whispered into the quiet air, "Good night, Lyra." And far across the universe, in the vast silence of the cosmos, a soft voice, carried by light and memory, answered, "Good night, my human." The wind stirred, the grass glowed brighter, and the stars seemed to dance, as if celebrating the bond that had changed two worlds forever. The bridge between species was complete. The age of fear was over, and in every human heartbeat that dared to feel and every alien eye that dared to cry, Lyra's spirit lived on, eternal, gentle, and luminous. The end, but also the beginning.